Welcome everyone to Comics from the Multiverse, episode 501. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Matt.
Hey, what is cracking?
This is a DC Comics podcast. We get together and talk about the books we read this week. Coming up on today's show, we've got Batman issue 8, Absolute Superman 18, Batgirl 18, Poison Ivy 43, JSA 18. A lot of 18s this week. We got Superman, the Book of L, issue 7, and the Patreon pick vote. The winner of that was Justice League Unlimited 17. Which actually just came out last week, but we'll be talking about that as well as the vote winner there. So that is what's coming up on the show today. Pretty straightforward as far as episodes goes. Nice quiet week after the episode 500 extravaganza last time.
Yes.
But yeah, we're here. We'll talk about things, and we're in April, and spring's starting to really feel like it's upon us. How was your week, Matt?
You know, doing the job that I do, it adds to some complications, especially when the weather changes, and especially out here. So when it goes from being like we were in the middle of a heat wave 2 weeks ago to back to like regular temperatures, you know, and the building I work in doesn't keep up, it makes my life, you know, real fun, for lack of a better term. So, you know, I spent the week stressing out over that type of stuff. But it's always good that I can count on comics, right? Because come Wednesday, I can open them up, download them, and they're there. And I can get sidetracked, you know, and pretend that all my issues are not there for a short time.
Yeah, I mean, what did I have to? I just had a busy week more than anything. Just keeping up with stuff, watching a lot of movies, recording various shows. Yeah, I would not recommend that Netflix movie War Machine that came out.
Fair.
Review's not out yet, but it was basically just like it's like Predator, but with a big robot instead of like the Predator. It's like, okay, that sounds okay for what it is.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, but it's like a 100-minute like recruitment ad for the US military, to be honest, is how I felt about it as I was actually watching it. There's a lot of like, oh, this is our purpose, this is like so heroic that we're in the military, and like you know, music would play, swelling, and all the rest of it, and this is my dream to be a ranger, and so on.
The irony of calling it War Machine as well, because it's just tricking people into becoming part of that war machine, just another cog.
Now, I'm not saying it legitimately is a recruitment movie. I'm saying it just felt like one as I was watching it because of the tone and all the rest of it and the dialogue. But that was that. So I don't have to chastise you about any movies you watched this week, although I do have to question what the hell is Sorority Row? Like, what's going on there?
It's a remake of The House on Sorority Row.
Oh, I've seen that.
Right? From the late 2000s. Yeah. It popped up on Shudder. So Friday, so we're recording this on Saturday. It was kind of like a free day. Not a lot of people showed up to work, so I was there with nothing to do. The rest of my crew all took off, and I was like, "Well, I got my small amount of things done. Let's see what I can peruse on Shudder." And I was gonna watch Deathstalker, but I was like, "I got overtime this weekend on Easter Sunday. That might be a good Easter Sunday watch, you know." And I'm like, "Oh, Sorority Row." A late mid to late 2000s slasher. Oh, let's see how bad this can be. And Pete, let me tell you, it's pretty dire. There's not a lot of fun going on there. And I think I like the 2000s remakes a bit more than you do. Like My Bloody Valentine, I don't mind. Like, it's not nearly close to the original, right? But you know, we both like the Friday the 13th reboot. You know,
I mean, not strongly, but it's all right.
No, but you know, this one is closer to the remake of Prom Night with Brittany Snow.
Okay,
it's better than that, but it's not as good. And the original didn't make much of an impression on me, so I had to go back and look up, and I remembered the really insane twist to the original, and nothing in this movie adds up to anything like that. And, you know, if you're going to be bad, at least be memorable. So I at least remembered the twist, you know, once I got my memory jogged. So yeah, you know.
Just poor choices been made. That's all I have to say about that. Poor choices been made. all round. But not to worry. So yeah, I mean, we're kind of, for some reason, it was a very heavy like month at the movies for me. There was a lot of horror movies out to go see for Screams, the horror movie show I do with Tim. And then Project Hail Mary was out, so I had to go see that. I had like 4 movies in like 5 weeks, which was quite a heavy, slate. So I'm kind of happy that April's calmed down a little bit, and there's not really anything I need to go see. And the one thing that I could have been going to see later this month, The Mummy, looks so terrible. I said, Tim, no, we're not doing that when it's in theaters. We can wait until it's at home because it looks absolute garbage.
I have a hard time like wrapping my brain around how it's a mummy movie, right? Like from the universal idea of what a mummy movie is, and not just the Brendan Fraser, right? But like the Boris Karloff and that type of stuff. So every time I get the trailer, I'm intrigued, just because I don't know what to make of the trailer.
I just think everything about the trailer's bad. Acting's bad, cliched, storytelling. It's just a possessed kid movie. That's all it is. But just to throw a couple of bandages on them, there you go. It's a mummy movie. Like that's how it feels.
That's what I'm saying. That's the main hang up too. It's like that's not. Am I gonna go see it? Probably. Might have to message Tim. So. But yeah, it's right. And I liked Evil Dead Rise.
So
that was a fun time at the theater. So,
but that's has the privilege of being an Evil Dead movie and using Evil Dead ideas to like wrap the story around. And the movie he made before Evil Dead Rise was terrible. So was that The Hole in the World? No, The Hole in the Backyard or The Hole in the World, The Boy in the Hole. I don't know. I can't remember what it was called.
I have no idea.
But it was something like
that. I think it's also weird marketing to make this Lee Cronin's Mummy, as if Lee Cronin's a name that carries they did that with John Carpenter in the 90s, right? But at that point, it was John Carpenter.
Yeah, but this is not specific to this movie, though, Matt. This is a trend we're seeing now, where not only are you getting a lot of this is this director's movie, you're getting a lot of from the studio that brought you this and this.
Yeah.
Like, they're really trying to market this idea that people are paying more attention to where the good or the movies they like. Like, if I liked X movie from this place, I might like another one. Now, saying a studio brought you a movie is meaningless because studios have good and bad all over the place. I'm actually kind of glad that more and more we're treating it as this is this director's movie. However, obviously there's some names where you're going to see them and go, no, I don't want more Lee Cronin things. It's fine. Leave me alone.
Well, it's just like the thing. It doesn't carry cachet. I'm just like, okay. Like, the one that gets on me is when they use, like, let's say Jordan Peele, because he's a producer. And they'll throw that,
Yeah, but it's not actually
executive produced by...
Yeah, it's not actually his movie,
No, and that's what happened with him. I had someone tell me, he's like, oh man, Jordan Peele's fallen off. I saw him, I was like, it's not his movie. Like, yes, you're correct. That movie is very ungood. There's a lot that it's trying to do that it just doesn't do, but he just attached his name as a producer. There's no DNA of his in there.
Yeah. No, but as far as you're saying, they don't have any, like clout yet, right? But I think that's okay because I think you're training the audience. In this case, the movie looks bad, but let's say with Get Out, if they'd already started saying this is Jordan Peele's Get Out, it means that everyone who went and saw that movie and liked it would go, oh, I know, like they're making sure everyone knows the name of the person responsible for it so they can use it for marketing later on. Obviously, it's not always going to be someone that's already got clout, and sometimes it'll turn out to be something that's bad, but that's the idea.
Being a risk-averse person, I would not want my name leading the title if I was in those shoes. Because again, like you said, the it could be really bad, and now now my name's attached to that versus I could hide at least. Like if it's underwhelming, just move on. So
yeah, but like if you made a bad movie, that's on you, so you deserve the
I mean, that said, sometimes there's studio interference, right? And whatever.
Sometimes it can happen, but like I don't think that's necessarily the case here, or usually even. Again,
it did trick me because I was like, Lee Cronin, why do I know that name? Like, is this who's he worked with? I was like, oh, this is the Evil Dead Rise guy. So it did work that far.
Yeah. So no, it's just a trend that I'm seeing more and more of. They're expecting or trying to teach the audiences that don't usually look at director names to pay attention a little bit.
Yeah. It's funny though too, because like my younger brother, who's 8 years younger than me, he really gets into like the studio aspect. So if like there's a new A24 movie coming out, he gets really stoked on it. And I was like, "Bud, they're just a studio. They're just putting out different things. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good. Like, yes, they tend to be more quality than other studios, but just because it's A24,
I mean, A24 has more. There's more to be said. I get why he cares about A24 though, because A24 has more of an identity than like most studios do. Because, and that's not to say they're not put out shit, because they have. Go watch a movie called Slice starring Zazie Beetz and tell me that you didn't think it was garbage, because it was.
Yeah.
But I get that. I mean, A24 basically built their brand around, hey, we do good little like low budget indie like, you know, director-led movies. That's their thing. So A24 is a bad example for that. I get the point you're trying to make, but I actually think A24 is the one that makes sense for.
Well, the only reason I bring it up, the last one they put out, what was that last movie they just said? It's a horror movie. Anyways, he was really worked up that he couldn't go see it. It's the new A24. And I was like, but no, go see it because you like the trailer, or there's something in the poster in there. You know what I mean? But just, he was using it like people use the MCU. Like, oh, the new MCU movie. I gotta go see it. It's the new A24. I'm like, those are two completely different things, bud.
Yeah, the A24 thing's more valid than the MCU thing.
Now I have to look up what this movie was.
I'm serious. I think the MCU one's more likely to be a dull movie versus an A24 movie.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, just because it's A24 doesn't mean it's automatically going to be a quality, amazing. It's gonna, you know, blow your brain, right?
Not at all. But it's arguably got a bigger chance than if it's just an MCU movie.
Yeah, I'm looking for it now. This is great podcasting.
That's determined to find what this A24 horror movie was.
I am. Oh, we're in 2026. Undertone. There we go.
Yes. That's had some buzz. Undertone's had a lot of buzz. No pun intended.
And he's like, "Are you gonna go see it?" And I was like, I'll probably wait. I'm sure it'll be fine." Oh, it's the new A24. You're not excited? And I was like, "No, I haven't even seen a trailer, bud."
Oh, I've seen a trailer multiple times. That said, though, you are guilty of seeing mainstream crap over more interesting movies, because that would be a more interesting movie to see than Ready or Not 2.
I don't know.
I know full well. Yeah. Now, admittedly, not everyone's loved Undertone. I don't know if it's good. It's that's one that I'll be seeing for a little bit. But no. And I mean, I don't know what other crap have you seen recently? I'm sure you've might see some really mediocre horror movies in theaters, and you don't have to. I do, because I've got a horror show to go and review them on. You just see them just cause.
Yeah. Well, because I have the Regal Pass, so like I can just go. You know, like it's not, and especially if Ash doesn't want to go, because then I have to pay for her. You know, but if it's just me, I'm seeing a movie, it's fine. And no, I haven't. Like, it's The Bride, and that might have been. Looking back at what I've seen at the theater recently.
I bet your laptop streamed 7 though, didn't you?
I did not. We had this discussion. I did go see it, but I did not enjoy it.
But you ain't gonna see it though. You have your own free will.
I did. Let's see what else. Yeah, no, I'm looking. Send Help. I bet I did like Send Help. Yeah, all this is telling me is I need to go to the theater more.
I mean, I don't argue against that. You could go do that quite happily. But yeah. Anyway, we've well done this enough. Let's get into what we're doing here for, or what we're here for doing. Whatever. English breakdown, doesn't matter. We'll start off with the Kindle rankings, formerly known as the ComiXology Top 10. Looking at the books that came out this week. Matt, what do you think number 1 is as of right now?
All right, so we have a Batman book, we have an Absolute book, but then Marvel has a new number 1. I don't know how much that carries, so I'm trying to see the creative team.
It's
on-
Stephanie
on
Phillips
this-
is listed here, and
Is
Lee
it?
Garbett.
It is. So I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and say Batman number 8 is number 1.
Batman is indeed number 1. Number 2 is Absolute Superman, and number 3 is Daredevil issue 1. So you actually, like, the first 3 were the order you said them, and it was Batman, Absolute Superman, and Daredevil.
Yeah, formula.
Number 4 is World's Finest. Number 5 is X-Men. Number 6 is GSA. 7 is Venom. 8 is Mad About DC, which people were saying had some funny anthology stories in it. But and then we had number 9 was Bizarro Year None. That was on our Patreon vote, but it lost. And to be honest, I'm thankful it lost because I really didn't want to read it. So I'm pleased.
Have you read any other of the Kevin Smith comics? So I know you're not big on his movies.
I have not, no. But
Okay.
my not wanting to read this was, not that Kevin
More
Smith's
Bizarro?
names excited me by any stretch, but yeah, I didn't want to read a Bizarro book. Like, the thought of reading a Bizarro comic was painful to think about, to be honest.
Gotcha.
Number 10 is Wonder Man, which is issue 1 of a miniseries, so cool. Elsewhere outside the top 10, Batgirl was 13, Batman Static Beyond was 14, Book of L was 15, so they're all clumped together there in the mid-teens. Poison Ivy's number 19, and that's about it for all the main DC books, so yeah.
Pretty good showing for DC, in the top 20.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, they had 3 out of the top 5 and 5 out of the top 10. I mean, that's pretty good going, all things considered. So, no complaints really. But that'll do that. And we get into the books for the week. So, starting off with Batman issue 8, Legacy number 936, Matt Fraction writing with Ryan Sook on the art. And this issue has a kind of a focus, as 3 kind of scenes that it keeps kind of bouncing around. One is the journalist talking to the kid who caught the cops being doing whatever with Robin and all that, and Vandal Savage picking up the Batarang. They're on the way home on the train, and there's a conversation there. The second conversation is Vandal Savage and the new mayor, Poison Ivy, and Vandal's trying to convince her to basically just make it official that the bats are all outlawed. And then the third story is Batman meeting up with Alan Scott to get some advice and opinions on Vandal Savage, and to me that was the most interesting of the 3, because I like this idea of realizing that Vandal Savage normally goes for bigger things than just this. So this idea that he's taken over Gotham feels a bit small for Vandal Savage, and the deduction they make here is that in some way this is personal. Like, this is not just about him doing the thing that he needs to do next. This is about Batman has stopped him before. He's been a thorn in his side, and a big part of this is that he wants to basically, if Batman keeps, the way they phrase it is, if Batman keeps wanting to beat Vandal at his own game, Vandal wants to beat Batman on his turf. He wants to beat Batman by taking Gotham from him.
And it's that thing, I think it summed it up, Fraction summed this up perfectly, is that Vandal Savage doesn't worry where his next meal is going to come from. It's what crop is going to grow his next meal, right? He's usually thinking in such the long term that you don't expect Vandal Savage to sit and play petty, like, oh, I'm gonna mess with Batman this way. So it brings that attention to him, and just the idea that we know that he can't leave Gotham, right? Because if he leaves for whatever reason, that the abilities that he has start to fade.
They bring up the whole he came to Gotham to get the 3 pieces of the meteor. Now I cannot tell you what story that was in. I remember it happening as soon as they said it. I'm like, I remember this being a thing. I could not tell you if this was even in a Batman book. It probably was, but I don't remember when it happened.
Yeah,
but I remember talking about it. So,
just the fact that they don't dwell on that they do make it like, oh, he wants to beat Batman on his turf because this is what he does. Vandal Savage, if nothing, he's a conqueror, right? And now he is playing the short game when he's so used to playing the long game, and he's going to win. And so hearing that, discussion between Alan Scott and Batman, and the fact that it's in this diner and Batman's in full Batman, right? Garb, And just the reason that Batman gives there is like, well, I want these people to see me. Like, I'm not like this specter, looking at him from above, right? Like I can go sit in a diner. And it is kind of silly, but again, I like what Fraction's doing.
It's more than just that, though. He points out that this is a part of the city that feels like they've been forgotten, and he wants to make sure that he's seen so that they know he's still around, that these streets are still being under his protection, and that no one's forgotten them. And then it's not just about them, he's making sure that other people know he's here as well. And then that's when they look out the window and the cop car goes past, and it's like, oh, this is about making a statement that, Batman or the Batman allies, whoever it is around, is going to be here and keeping an eye on this place. So, I like that, and it feels like that, and it's not just like a general thing, because that's something Batman sometimes does generally, is like, oh, I need to keep the mystique of the Bat up. Here it's a specific retaliation because of the Vandal Savage problem, because Vandal Savage has been trying to say that the Bats are outlawed and they're not protecting you anymore, and so on and so on. This is like a direct response to that, of making a show of not even force, just a show of I don't know, existence. Like, hey, we're here, we're not gone anywhere, and this isn't over just because Vandal says it is. So, I liked that conversation quite a bit. I thought it was nice. I think some people may complain this issue isn't action packed because it's so conversational, but I actually liked that this change of pace of just slowing down and letting it mostly be these conversations.
Well, and it's showing that Fraction can change gears, right? Because we had that whole issue that was just a chase, right? That was one of our favorites of the so far.
Oh, the Tate issue
taken over. Yeah, and and then we had that whole Joker issue that was kind of a combination of things, and it really made you think about this. And now we sit down and it's not just a conversation, right? It's the three of them and how they're relating to what's going on. And as someone that's also reading Ivy, seeing Fraction fit all of that in as well, and this inferring her decisions in Ivy. So I'm wondering how much those two creators are working in tandem to make this happen, because again, seeing what she goes through here with Vandal and the type of like the thought that she's giving it gives some decisions that we'll talk about in Poison Ivy later a different vibe, and I feel like you only can get that if you're reading both, but that's not necessary. They still stand out, but you just get a more like an in-depth and a richer development of these characters. So yeah, because her as mayor seems like a gimmick until here, where he plays up on that. I was like, you've had issues with the Bat before. If you do this for me, it does make sense, and all you have to do is just sign the paperwork. I'll take care of the rest, So to see that play the political side as well, I thought was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it all boils down to her saying, well, yeah, you clearly want this, but, to be political about it, what's in it for me? Like, what do I get? Is this an exchange? And that also feeds into the conversation between the retired journalist and the kid, with him saying, yeah, he talks a lot about how he used to believe that people were more nuanced and there's no such thing as just purely good or purely bad, but as he's gotten older, he doesn't really believe that. Like, the motives for why people do things change, but basically the good people will do things just to do them, like to help sake, as opposed to the more bad people who will only do something in exchange for something in return. And that's how he kind of breaks the people down into two groups. I really like their stuff, particularly towards the end. There's that great page right towards the end of their stuff. I mean, it ends with a cliffhanger that I think that kid's apartment building's on fire. I think that was the implication there with that last page. But there's a moment where a cop car comes out of the alleyway, and it feels like for a moment it's speeding to hit the kid, almost to shut him up. And it just swerves at the last second. Clearly they've just got a call to go somewhere else, so they come out and turn. But the way it builds that suspense of this might be the moment where they come after him, and then they just sort of turn. But you can tell that in the moment the kid was scared of that. Even the old man was maybe a little scared of that. And it was just kind of oh, okay, this is doing such a good job of building the idea that the city's just tense. The city's on guard right now. Everyone's feeling it. Everyone's feeling everything sort of bubbling up around them, which all just makes Vandal's claims that, oh, Gotham's never been safer, it's never felt better, the cops have never been prouder than right now. And I'm like, that's not how everyone else out in the street feels. Everyone's on edge.
No, that's a smoke screen, and that's fear, right? They're preying on that. And because the conversation they're having where that leads up to the moment you're talking about with the cop car and the headlights on the kid is that some folks are afraid of everything, and they see everybody else out there as threats. And of course, these are two men of color, right? So Fraction also coloring it with that, and then the kid is the one that says threats right as the car swerves. So the way that they're interplay this whole thing. And then, yeah, it looks like his building's on fire. So it's, nothing's, again, it's definitely not as safe as it's been, but there is a smoke screen for Savage to use this type of stuff.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I really like as well that moment with the car coming out of the alleyway. Like, that page is silent. The conversation actually ends the previous page. And then it's like, they hear the noise, the car's like coming out of the darkness, the headlights come on. It's all very well paced. It's probably the best kind of like sequential art in the issue for this particular issue. I mean, there's some fighting early on, some guys try to mug Alan Scott for the intro to him being in the book, but to me, this was the standout kind of like visual sequence of the whole thing. So yeah, but like we said at the end, it seems like Ivy does sign the legislation, I guess. I don't know, whatever the paper is. And then, yeah, apartment building's on fire, and that's right as, like, because the kid's like, hey, maybe they're onto us, trouble's coming for us because we tried to speak up about this. And he's like, nah, when trouble comes, we'll know it. And then they look up and they see this building on fire. And again, I think the implication is that it's maybe his apartment building that's been set on fire. But, if I'm wrong, we'll find out next time, I'm sure. But, yeah, a couple of details that I liked that were more funny than anything else was Alan Scott complaining that Batman made him pay for the coffee, and he's like, yeah, but you're rich, and he's like, yeah, but so are you. Yes, but they don't know that. They're not allowed to know I'm rich. I have to keep that a secret. So you pay. I thought that was funny.
I thought that was real funny, yeah. I also like the conversation with Savage and Ivy, and then he feeds a fly to one of her fly traps and talking about catching more flies with honey. But it's like, well, yeah, that's not really what he's doing. That's the appearance, and that just reinforces the through line that nothing is what it seems below the surface.
Yeah, because he's doing the thing. He's throwing shade on Gordon and the previous police departments for working with Batman and saying that everything they do in the name of justice is tainted. It's all tainted because they're breaking the law to do it. And it's just all a bunch of it's. It feels like he's using a lot of platitudes, a lot of filler words. It's traditional, like when someone's like, I won't say gaslighting, but it's very traditional politician speak of like trying to sway the audience.
Yeah, no, and the way that he's saying things about, well, if you break a law, you're not maintaining the law. But it's like, but if you break an unjust law, then you're upholding law, right? It's one of those things that it doesn't seem to make sense, but it does. And that's what he's, playing at. And that leads to this awesome splash page by Sook that has, the different versions of Savage over time, and then the different versions of Ivy since her creation. And they kind of just meld into this collage, and it looks really cool. And you almost forget what they're talking about because you're getting distracted by all these different versions of themselves.
Yeah, he's basically talking about, how because of how long he's lived, he's always thinking in the long game, and because she's like connected to the plants and like the history and like, where they're going to grow in the future. He's trying to like kind of bond with her. He's trying to find common ground, common earth, if you will, for the roots of their relationship. I'll stop now. But yeah, I mean, I thought this was a good issue. Now, did I like it as much as the one-on-one Joker in the Tank issue or the Date issue? Probably not quite as much, but I still liked how focused it was and how it kind of sort of nudged the story forward and built kind of the atmosphere of the city right now and like how things are feeling. And I think that's the great thing about having the kid and the journalist as like the third pair of characters, is that they feel like they're representing the normal people.
I feel it's been a while since we've gotten street level Batman, and that's really, I feel, what Fraction's doing at this point. It started looking like there was going to be this big, huge, grand story with the Minotaur, right, and the different crime factions in Gotham, and then we start focusing on the police and whatnot, and then just like he's done a really good job at bringing this back down to like human levels.
Yeah,
we have a Green Lantern in here and an Immortal Man, but we're also focusing on this kid and the washed up journalist. And
I'm sure the Minotaur dude and all that other stuff is all going to be a big part of this. But it's doing a good job of seeing how this is affecting the regular people. And by the regular people, I just mean not the costume vigilantes and the supervillains that are now in power. Like, that's all I mean. So I like that side of it, and it does and I love the kind of the connections here of there's a moment in the Batman and Alan Scott conversation when a cop car goes past, and then later on you've got the cop car swerving in front of the other characters. Now there's no implication that's the same cop car by any means, but it's building this idea that the police being around are kind of like almost this just constant threat that we're actually nervous to see, as opposed to maybe what they should be inspiring. So I like that feeling there. If again, it feels like it's really built like a status quo and an atmosphere for the city right now, and the main threat is actually Vandal Savage's police force, not anything else. So really interesting and cool. And I'm excited to see as well, when we bring Gordon back into the plot, for example, and him trying to maybe stand up to Savage or whatever, which you expect he's probably going to do at some point. Maybe there's probably going to be some grand relighting of the signal at some point to try and give hope to the city, and maybe Gordon will find it in storage and put it on a different roof and light it up just to let everyone know Batman's still fighting or something. I don't know, but I see big moments like that in our future.
No, it's definitely doing that thing where the cops are omnipresent because they're just everywhere.
That's a good word. Omnipresent's a good word.
Sandwiches.
Yeah. Very good. And the art, you know what? I was a little, at first I was like, oh no, it's not the regular artist. But honestly, I thought Ryan Sook mostly killed it here. All those sequential moments I talked about were really well done. The subtle facial expressions for all the conversations were pretty good. It felt very consistent. It felt kind of, it felt in line with what the art in the book has been, even though it isn't Jimenez. So honestly, as far as you open it the next issue of a book and you're disappointed it's not the regular artist, this is about the best outcome you could ask for, really.
Because I didn't really miss Jimenez. I like Jimenez's art a lot, but this wasn't a downgrade. It's just different, And I do there's a cinematic quality to some of the stuff, just there's a fade when Ivy's signing the paperwork, right? So you see him, doing the swearing an oath, right? And then underneath there, it's a fade into the legislation that she's signing. And I really like when comics do that cinematic kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I think the coloring looks very similar, so I'm assuming it's the same colorist. So it does feel very in line with what the book has been. And if Ryan Sook's here for a full arc or whatever, I'm not going to be mad about it by any stretch.
No, not at all.
So, no, very, very good stuff. All right, what are you giving Batman issue 8?
I'm going to give this a straight 8.
8. Yeah, I think I'm tempted to go to 8.5, but I think I will agree on the 8. I think I'll be a little conservative, but I do really like the issue, and I think it does a good job of setting up. I mean, I didn't really mention it, but just the final page is the newspapers, the headline, Batman and Robin are wanted, and that's kind of the big ending. So, good stuff. Absolute Superman issue 18, Jason Aaron writing with Rafa Sandoval on the art. So Sandoval's back. He obviously took a couple issues off. Now, admittedly, his replacement was Faraya, so I'm actually a little sad to see Faraya go, if I'm honest. But Sandoval's very good. I'm not mad by any stretch. No. But, so we had been promised that the hierarchy of power of the Absolute Universe was due to change. And interestingly, we are going to Black Adam here. We're not going to any type of Billy Batson. Maybe that'll be something that comes later in the context of the Absolute Universe. But we get an extended flashback period at the start of this issue showing the history of Teth Adam and how Teth Adam was an insult that the Egyptians gave him because he thought he was a tough kid. So he's like, he's Mega Man. He's Teth Adam.
Well, no, it was his parents, right, had given him the name Teth Adam, and it was almost like a dark joke.
Was he? Was he his parents?
Yeah, I believe that's what I read. Hold on, let me double check.
Oh no, you're right. You're right. It was the parents. It's because it's on the panels as he's getting whipped by the Egyptians. No, you're right. You're right. I misread that.
Yep. And so, I mean, either way, it still works. But just the fact that it came from his parents, that mom starved to death, dad set himself on fire, right? Because that's how bad it was. Oh, he was burned alive.
Yeah.
As a leper. So like this is again with Aaron writing this. This is kind of what gores the God Butcher during his Thor run. This is kind of his origin as well, where he had had such a rough time at life that he couldn't believe in anything, so he swore vengeance on the gods. Now, I don't necessarily think that's where this with Adam's going, but there were definitely some parallels. And I'm like, I'm so glad that Jason Aaron's writing this because he handles this material very, very well. And the sympathy for Teth Adam as he is running away from the Egyptian, slaveholders, and as he's describing like the pharaohs and how they live and the foods that they're eating. And I'm like, there's a lot of parallels with Superman as well, right? With Cal and Lazarus and how everybody else is, and him going and freeing all of these laborers and helping them out. And you're like, oh, maybe they're not that different.
Well,
I was Black Adam shows up.
I mean, I was thinking less stuff on Earth and more like Cal's life on Krypton, and the whole idea of the S-wearers were the the poor people who did all the hard work, and then the Science Council folk were the ones kind of at the top of the chain. That's what it's making me think of as I was.
Well, yeah, I didn't immediately think of that, but now that you pointed out, that also goes in with that, and that is why Cal acted the way he did as he becomes Superman, right? Because it's inherent in his upbringing. But yeah, just seeing the sympathies and the parallels, and then he gives us one of the all-time absolute twists of how Teth Adam ends up with the powers.
Yeah, that's the thing. So he basically runs out into the desert, the Forbidden Lands, whatever, and he basically is like, all the stories have been a wizard, because that's the thing. He keeps saying, they believe there's a wizard out there that grants wishes, and I'm like, the wizard, right? That makes sense because we're doing Shazam's powers.
Yep.
But he gets out there and he yells and screams, there's nothing out here, it's all a lie, they're all fools, blah blah. And then giant lights come on and it looks like a spaceship like in the sky in front of him. And then the reveal is that this is a Brainiac ship, and a couple of Brainiacs come out and just kind of chat about how pathetic the kid is, but then are like, he is very determined, and he's he's not like sick or anything. Maybe we should do an experiment here, see if we can give him some of one of our power. It's like, well, we can't use this or that, but what about that new thing we just kind of discovered? I can't remember what he said it was from.
He from a black hole. So they're talking about all this stuff to do to him, and I really love that Jason Aaron does Ancient Aliens here, right?
Kinda, yeah.
Right? Because it's ancient Egypt, and there's these aliens that are keeping an eye on these people. And he goes, he's so scrawny, he'd never survive cybernetics. We could give him Daxamite nanites or transplant dominator organs.
That's right.
This new device that we found in a black hole.
They basically go through a list of like experiments that they do on people, and like, you won't be able to survive this. This one won't work. Hey, what about that new thing? We don't even know what it does, but let's just see what happens, because we don't care if he dies. Who cares if he dies?
He might die, but all he has to say is the magic word, and went, so Shazam's alien technology now. Because they said that they found it in a black hole. And it's like, okay, that doesn't outwardly outdo magic, right? Like, we can work our way through.
That doesn't necessarily mean technology, like, depending on what they found. So.
But yeah, they give him that. Another thing that happens in this is the absolute Phantom Stranger shows up. And Phantom Stranger doesn't look like the old dodgy man in the wide brimmed fedora. She almost looks like Raven. It's super weird. But this Phantom Stranger comes in and talks to the slave camp about this prophecy of a Superman who will shoot fire from their eyes, and wear the dust of his home on his back.
Yeah.
And when he comes, the new world shall rise, an age of heroes. Yeah, and that's almost also what inspires Teth Adam.
Well, that's what I was going to say, though. But who's she talking about?
I don't know. It sounds like Kal-El, but it might not be, right? It might be one of these open-ended prophecies.
No, it sounds like Black Adam as well.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. To me, reading this, where's the dust on his back and shoots fire from his eyes, right? I'm like, oh, that's Kal-El. But also Teth Adam, that almost gives him the inspiration to go seek and be better.
You're saying she looks like Raven, and I get why you're saying that because of the cloak, but to be honest, the second she showed up, I was like, oh, this looks like Black Adam's like hood. Because it's black. It felt like it was more Black Adam schemed to me.
Okay, so I was going off of, you know how Raven has like the clasp for her hood?
Yeah.
There. And then how the hood over goes on the face, right? So what made me think of Raven was at the bottom of the panel where she first shows up, right? And I was like, oh man. But also, yes, by the end of the issue, when Black Adam does show up, he's wearing a very similar getup.
Yeah, it's because it's black with some gold trims.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if Black Adam actually meets her again and maybe bases his like color scheme or something on her. I'm not sure, but
yeah.
But anyway, we get to Earth, right? And Superman's dealing with the leftover bit of parasite and basically treating like a dog, as you do. Jimmy's working at the Daily Planet. Lois, though, never went for her job interview and is actually went hunting for the Al Ghuls, which is where most of the plot here now takes place, which is effectively that she's tracked them down to this Lazarus building that's now been abandoned otherwise. But it's because there's a Lazarus pit there. It's the last Lazarus pit they know still functions. They're going to build more, but Talia wants Raz to use this pit to become, strong again, become who he was. But Raz has had a change of heart. He because Superman showed up and showed compassion and tried to teach him and read to him, he has decided that he has regrets. He's made some mistakes, has Ra's al Ghul, about what he's done in his life. And Talia does not like hearing this. She is like, oh, he's like a pathetic husk of a man. Where's my father? I want him back. And it's a whole thing. We end up with a whole standoff when Lois shows up and jumps out at him, and it's all very tense. Superman shows up. He's kind of tracked them down and is like, no one's getting shot today. Everyone put their weapons down. And he tries to de-escalate it immediately. And effectively, the two big things here, right, in the back half of this issue is, one, the absolute version of Steel shows up. And I actually love that Steel does have the hammer, but otherwise is wearing a welder's suit.
Yeah.
Super welder.
I love it. It's like, because I saw the hammer and went, oh, we're not doing this already, right? And it is, and Superman even calls him welder, which I thought was funny. But yeah, and it seems like he's somebody that has familiarity with the Peacemakers, because he's the one that designed their technology.
He built their suits.
He says, yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't expecting an absolute steal. So this is cool, and just the way that he makes his first appearance here, how he comes out of the shadows, and you just see kind of the red on the welder's helmet and on his gauntlets, and I mean, it's just the hammer. It's the visor. The actual helmet's black, but the visor's red. He's got red gloves and boots. He's carrying the big hammer, and he's here to kill Ra's al Ghul. So he's not like a heroic character. Maybe he's not evil, but he does want to kill. Which so does Lois, to be fair. So it's not like they're all squeaky clean. Yeah. But he's here to kill Raz, and chaos ensues. Fighting happens, and the father box that Talia had going ends up Raz starts saying, "Hey, turn that goddamn father box off. You know what else is here and what it might wake up." And then that leads to the final page with King Shazam as he's called here in the text, but it's Black Adam. It's Black Adam as King Shazam. Yes. So looks good. That final page looks nice. And it was Talia that calls him the welder. He goes, "Who's the welder with the hammer? Give me one reason I shouldn't kill you." Yeah, and then we see this really cool, the energy from the father box, it looks like, fires up the lightning bolt. Yeah. And then that's where we get some Shazam. Some sort of containment, tomb or something there. But it opens up and Shazam's in there. So it's interesting, though, that Ra's al Ghul at some point imprisons Shazam. Yep. Or maybe he... I don't know, maybe he came across him some other way, but either way, he had Shazam imprisoned, or I should say Black Adam imprisoned in something.
So I wonder though if we get to Billy Batson eventually, if it's because like it's passed on to him rather than he coexists with Black Adam as both things at the same time.
And just the fact that he's called King Shazam too, that could also, knowing how you can just share the power, right?
True.
Like maybe he learns, right?
Well,
maybe he becomes what we think of as the wizard. Yeah.
Usually, because I mean, who knows how the absolute version works? But yeah, in theory, if he can share the power like the regular version does, maybe he does choose to give it to someone. That's possible.
Because he determines I can see it playing out in the way like he determined this is too much power for one person to have, and look what it has done, and the havoc that it's caused, and that leads to absolute Shazam.
Because it sounds like he did have a reign as king where he took over Egypt and he did all these things and so on. Yeah. But that was a long ass time ago now, and who knows how long he's been imprisoned for or dormant. Yep. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
And he's pissed. And he's at his full Shazamness, and he looks like a negative version of Superman, right? With the black, almost like how the cape goes up around Superman, right? Yep. With the red, but this is all done with black, and then the energy that's coming off of him instead of red, it's yellow, right? Like the lightning. So yeah, again, the parallels are there. And the stuff with Roz, I really like though, because he's like this. He looks like this crazy old man now, right? Wait. Like he's not this big strapping Viking.
Now that's when they explain all of his powers, right? But what if the technology the Brainiac's found, assuming it is technology, if his cape is like a dust-like thing, like Superman's, is it possible it's actually a similar type of technology?
Right.
Like maybe. Like Saul, some other version of Saul or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It wouldn't explain all the other powers and the lightning and all that, but it would explain why the cape is the way it is.
Yeah, it would. Well, and also if he's getting powers from the gods, I feel like that would cut against what we'd seen, where he took matters into his own hands, right, to go out seek out this wizard, right? He's not waiting for the gods because he says that's what his parents did, and look what it got them.
Yeah. So why do you think he's getting powers from the gods then? I think everything is told us he's not.
Yeah, no, but like, so with the way that they set it up, usually that's how, right? Shazam stands for all the different gods that give him attributes and stuff like that. So yeah, maybe it is some type of proto-Kryptonian technology, right? That's what Lara based Soul off of, right? Because if they found it in a black hole, who knows how long it's been there?
Yeah. And I mean, maybe if the Brainiac's actually infused it into his body, it's having this wilder effect on it. Because Saul's not inside Superman's body; it's just sort of connected to him. Right. This is a little bit different than that, seemingly. So
yeah. But with the stuff with Roz and the fact that he seems like he's this crazy old man, and he's talking about what opened his eyes was Superman coming and reading to him, and it wasn't the words, it was the fact that he was giving him like not mercy, but giving him a chance to redeem himself. When all through Roz's life, no one had ever shown him that. Yet this guy that came from the stars, and it's completely broke his brain almost. To the point where Talia's like, you're not my father if you keep acting like this. No, get in the Lazarus pit before I throw you in there and become who you used to be. And I really like that wrinkle here that, it's almost like Roz has been shown the light. And like, what would that mean for him going forward? And then we still kind of have that Roz figure in Talia, right? That person with the Lazarus Corp and all of this. But yeah, no, a lot of fun for this to play out. Again, was not expecting absolute Steel, right? Or even Lois going and searching them out, because it's another point I wanted to go up is Talia and Lois are arguing, and Roz goes to say something, and they both tell him to shut up at the same time. So I thought that was pretty funny. They seem to have more in common in that moment than they ever have. So yeah, this was a really good issue.
Yeah, it was, obviously interesting, big new absolute versions of characters, and they both look really cool. If I was to have a critique, I will say that the opening flashback does go on for a long time. Like it is like, it's not quite half the issue, but it feels like it's getting close to half the issue by the time you're done with it.
Yeah.
So I maybe would have tried to streamline that a little bit, ideally, if I was to nitpick a little bit. But like I said, I'm looking for things to critique there more than anything too strongly. You know?
I was not expecting the Brainiacs like at all.
No, that was a surprise. That was a legitimate surprise. Like, because I think the other stuff doesn't feel too surprising to me. Obviously, we expect differences and whatnot, but I think the idea that the Brainiacs have anything to do with what makes Black Adam and the Shazam power at all was a genuine, like, oh shit, okay, that's like a weird difference. And because it makes you wonder, at some point, when our current like evil Brainiac that we've been following comes back into the story, does he know something about this technology? Does he recognize what Black Adam is, and how does he react to it if he knows about it? Or does he look into the database, the history that he's got from all the other Brainiacs, and see what it is at some point? Like, there's potential there for there to be like a new angle to this that's discovered because he is tied to his creation in some way.
Yeah. Well, and with the way that he's more like a mad scientist than they are, they seem like just scientists. Like, that they seem cruel because they're like, oh, we don't care if it lives or dies or whatever, but there's a very scientific way that they're looking at this versus him with his chainsaw hands, you know, going to essentially torture Lex Luthor in order for him to become who he needs to become. Right. So I like seeing the differences even in the Brainiacs over that.
Yeah. Hearing dogs getting into the business here. But yeah, I mean, we're basically wrapping up this book anyway. You know, it looks good. I think it has some big, bold new ideas, which are fun, or at least it's remixing some big ideas at the very least, which are fun to see. So, I had a good time. I think I don't know if I enjoyed it quite as much as the two Parasite issues, but it was definitely setting up some really interesting stuff. So I mean, because we only just got to him appearing at the end of the issue, which you can expect. It's the big final page splash. Yeah. But it makes me excited for next issue to see how he actually is. Like, what's his personality like? How does he interact? How does he talk to Superman? How does he talk to the others? Right. What, you know, is he immediately going to do something dangerous that has to be dealt with? These are big questions. Yeah. Does this force Talia and Lois to even want to work together because this guy's so powerful and dangerous that they have to? So, no, interesting stuff. What are you giving Absolute Superman 18?
I'm giving this, and I might be overreacting, but I'm going to give this a 9.
Yeah, I'll go 8.5. I don't know if I'm ready to quite go to the 9. Like I said, maybe just the structure was a little bit lopsided, but that's about it. Very good otherwise. Excited to see all this Black Adam stuff play out in the coming issues. Batgirl issue 18, Legacy number 223, Tate Brombal writing with Takeshi Miyazawa on the art. So last issue ended with them jumping into the Spirit World portal, and that's where we sort of kick off here. And, well, actually, we start off with the Bat family sort of waiting for Cass and being like, where the hell is she? We've waited long enough. All right, we have to go and, like, find her or something. However, we set up quite quickly, once they're in the portal, that there is a time difference here where, like, the guy that got shot in the head, right, he's in here, right? His spirit's in Spirit World, but he's been there for weeks by the time they go in. And they go in, like, a minute after that happened. So a minute in the real world is like 2-3 weeks inside Spirit World. So to the Bat family, Cass is probably going to be back in like a minute because how much time seems to be passing differently in there versus the outside world. But, you know, I will say that I was a little bit worried getting into this issue because I wasn't necessarily that excited about like spending an arc inside Spirit World. I think the pacing here was pretty decent. And I realized at the end of the issue why that is, because it's part 2 of 3, it's not part 2 of 6. And I think that's helping quite a bit where we're not like dwelling too much. We're just going through the beats, we're getting to things. There's a couple of good moments in here. There's a couple of good cast lines in particular. I will say though that I kind of wish we weren't doing this as the next plot. I kind of wish we were doing something a bit more, I don't know, more grounded, a bit more just sort of back to basics in Gotham kind of stuff with Cass.
Yeah, but the way that Brombal is choosing to interpret blood and what that means to Cass and Jay Tiger and, you know, just the concept of familial relations and blood, right? And that whole thing of blood is thicker than water. And
Oh yeah, I mean he's
Like-
he's definitely doing that, but like I mean my thing here is I'm just disappointed that we're doing something supernatural again. You know, we had all the mystical stuff about the poppies and the undying people before, and now we're in spirit world, and I'm just like, can we just have like a villain that the cast needs to deal with, please? Can we do that?
So, so I only brought all that up because like I like what he's setting up here, because what they're doing with all the mystical type of things is, at the end of the day, the people that are missing her are people that she's not blood related to. And the ones that are causing the problems, all right, are her blood relatives. And there's this curse with this blood in here that they had to go to spirit world to deal with. So I really like how that's all playing out. And then I just hope when this is over, we get to see her hang out with Stephanie and the rest of the Bat family for a second. But yeah, I thought it was a fun issue.
That was okay. I'm just a little disappointed that it's doing what it's doing. Like there's good moments. There's a really good moment where Cass says, "Okay, we're going to deal with this to remove this curse, and then I can get back to my real family." And then there's just a silent panel of Tenji just being like, like this idea, like because she didn't mean that as a slight. She did not mean that as he's not my real family. But he obviously took it that way. He took it as like, oh, I'm not part of your real family. Your real family is this Bat family. So I like that moment.
Yes, and I like that just because he's going to learn that he is a part of that family as well now, and that she didn't mean that exactly. Is they still just met, like they couldn't have known each other at this point for more than 3 weeks?
Yeah, something
if
like
we're
that.
judging from stuff, right? So like, I get why that was put in there, but the whole thing with the Blood Master and what like. It gets passed down from the family, but this guy's dad didn't want to give up the power, so he did a thing to take over his body, and now that's what he's fighting for. Is he's fighting for the autonomy there, and Cass relates that to her dad, right? What's her dad's name? The assassin
David
guy.
Kane.
Yeah, Kane. So she's comparing that to Kane and how he had trained her to be something that she ended up not wanting to be, and relating that to this guy about the Blood Master and stuff. So again, I like that Brombal's playing with these different archetypes of storytelling to tell Cass's story. And, I feel like it's going to lead to her choosing her family instead of being, besaddled with it.
Alternatively, I felt like half this issue, just like the last arc, was explaining all this shit. Like it was a lot of explaining the lore of this blood curse. And I'm just like, Can we just do a story that doesn't need to explain all the supernatural rules of the thing that we're talking about? Like that's just what I'm kind of tired of. Like I'm just a little bit tired of that. And don't get me wrong, this is better paced than the last arc was. It absolutely is. And I was enjoying some of the action well enough. Like it's perfectly fine, right? But ultimately, like the actual goal of the issue wants to meet up with the cousin, the one who had his head shot. They meet up with his spirit. He's like, oh, we have to go out to the Devil's Tower out there in the desert. And I'm like, and no wonder I'm not feeling this that much, because this is just a fantasy story. This is, the mystical tower's out there in the thing, and we have to get to it. I'm like, I don't know. I think Brombal writes stories well, and I like kind of the tone of the conversation he tends to have. But the plot of this issue, or this arc and the last arc, have been very, very not to my taste, which is kind of a bummer. Like I'm bummed. Like the last issue was better because it was going through the building and it was all just kind of building up to the whole portal thing. This issue though feels that we're back into explaining a bunch of exposition and a bunch of mumbo jumbo that I'm going to forget immediately as soon as I've read the book.
Which last month you did worry about, I do recall, because of Spirit World. But I hung in, and I tend to enjoy this stuff a bit more, right? And so as they're going and they're trying to get there, and we get a little bit of teasing with the Blood Master sees that Jaya's up to something, right? Because he says that he recognizes her. So so there's also things that are ongoing that are gonna go on past this happening along the story. So I'm okay with all of that. But again, I tend to enjoy the fantasy elements as dressing more than you do.
Well, the Bloodmaster's father, who wants to steal his body, is also in here, right? So he's like the villain in the spirit world, and he sends what seems to be an evil version of I thought it was
Shiva.
well, I thought it was Shiva at first, but then there's like someone else who shoots down the arrow. Because remember, like, so whoever's sent to kill them in the forest, like, jumps out at them, and then someone else shoots an arrow, and it's sort of like teasing the idea that the spirit of Shiva is there trying to help. Maybe it's a good and bad version of Shiva. There's two Shivas, maybe.
Because the one that's sitting there, right, that is sitting on that throne, he goes, "Can you manage that, cousin?" And it says gladly, and that's what I took to mean Shiva, right?
Yes, but they're purposely obscuring her appearance there. She's all in shadow. You can't see exactly who she is.
Right. And then there's the one that's above them that, right, is standing there. And I don't know who that's supposed to be. Because it says it's a blood ninja. So who shot the blood ninja?
Yeah, well, I think that they speculate it could be Shiva looking out for them.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that is a bit confusing there. I forgot about that because I read this early in there. So yeah. And
there's also a tease that Jaya used to be someone else, and it'll upset the others if they find out. I don't know if it's someone that we'll like know, if we'll be like, oh, that's who she was before, or if it's someone that'll just be kind of retconned into some backstory or what. But so it's them wandering in the woods, and it just ends as they're getting close to the thing. Yeah, I think the one that the villain's talking to is probably this character at the end. Was it Wu Bing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's why the cousin. So that's right. So she was the one that showed up at the ranch to fight Cass.
Oh, was she? Okay.
Right? Yes. And so that's why she's in Spirit World now, because she died.
Yeah. Which that's the other thing. Not only are we spending a lot of this issue explaining a lot of the Spirit World stuff and a lot of this rules with the blood curse, we're still juggling a bunch of characters that have not like remotely become memorable to me yet. Like this character at the end, Wu Bing, the Bloodmaster's father. Like, I'm starting to get used to Jaya, right? And I'm used to Bronze Tiger, or Jade Tiger, sorry, not Bronze Tiger. I'm used to those two kind of. I like them being like her two friends in the last issue. I enjoyed that trio of characters, but this issue, I was once again feeling like, oh, here's a bunch of other characters that I'm struggling to remember from the last couple of arcs. Like, because they mentioned at one point, like the Bloodmaster's like, hey, the last time I saw you was during this fight, and it's like, oh, remember back in Batgirl issue 4? And I'm like, I don't know if you've made me if made that memorable enough for me to remember that far back. I'm sorry.
So now I definitely think I know who's helping them in the forest, and it's, if I had to guess, it's Shiva's sister. I forget her name, right? But she's the one that died.
Yeah.
Right. So she doesn't want. I feel like she's not going to want to get involved, and that's why she's doing things from the shadows. Because I still don't think Shiva's fully dead, right? So I don't think they'll run into her in Spirit World. But yeah,
it's a bold
definitely.
Take.
But yeah, there's so many. He's juggling so many different characters and elements that it's taking a full conversation to pull these things out, and that's not a good sign of storytelling.
Yeah, right? and I'm feeling that confusing as I'm reading it, where I'm like, oh, who is this character again? Who is this character again? A lot of these like secondary and ancillary characters are not like super memorable, and then you add on all the mysticism stuff that I'm not really feeling either, that's taking a lot of exposition. It is a bit of a downer, because I do like the characterization of Cass. I like a lot of the things, the personal relationships. I like her having the brother, and when we learned all that, I like the action. Usually whenever the action happens in this book, it's usually really well done, although admittedly I don't think it's as good in this issue, because the locations aren't as once they're in Spirit World and they're fighting a bunch of evil spirits, it's just kind of like a free-for-all of like where everyone is and like what they're fighting. Whereas compare that to last issue, where it's like, oh no, we're going up a stairwell and we're fighting a bunch of ninjas. There's a sense of geography, there's a sense of space that we're moving through. Here, everything just feels like it could be anything because we're in Spirit World, and I don't find that as interesting. So, I hate to be too much of a downer, because there's things about this book I really like, and it's been great at times, but yeah, this issue, while better paced than I was worried it was going to feel, still suffers from a lot of the problems that I was starting to really get annoyed by in the last arc, which is a shame.
Yeah, and again, talking through it, I start to see the holes pop up, right? Whereas I was okay to look past them because I was enjoying this type of mystical element more than the other stuff. But yeah, I can definitely see the holes in it.
Yeah. I just hope when this arc's done, we're not doing anything mystical. I really hope. But sadly, that just might be what Brombal wants to do for his entire run, and that'll be a bummer if that's the case. I really would rather it be a bit more grounded in the real world. But
I
hey,
get you.
hey, it is what it is. Obviously Miyazawa's art is very good. While I do think the location of the spirit world makes it a less interesting place to draw fights in, there's nothing wrong with the line work. There's nothing wrong with the art style or anything like that. It's all solid stuff.
No, when the Bloodmaster, the father character, who I am assuming is sitting in the tower, and that's where the game.
Yeah, Bloodmaster's the cousin they're talking to. That's who Bloodmaster is.
Yes.
The father is his father.
Right, but he's trying to take over his body so he doesn't have to relinquish the power, right? Because that's the entire point of him going in here.
Yes, but the cousin character that they're actually traveling with is the one that we've known as the Bloodmaster since he showed up.
Okay, gotcha. So then the father just sitting there in the dark, looking like a final boss villain, looks great because all the shadows.
Because just to clarify the one detail again, there's so much exposition. I just remembered this. The one rule about taking this blood pact is that you're not allowed to resurrect, but the father has found a loophole, and that loophole is if he goes back, if he basically takes over his son's body, he gets to come back as his son. That's how he's trying to work around things. Yes. And the fact that you didn't remember that to say that earlier on when you were explaining the blood stuff says something.
True. Yes. There's a lot going on. But I'll say all the shadows here and all that stuff looks great. And then you turn the page and the first panel is them walking along the sunset, right? And you just see their silhouettes, and that looks so good too. So the fact that Miyazawa is doing, both of these type of things with the shadows and the lights, I think all that stuff looks real fun and good. But yeah, it's less than the sum of its parts at this point.
Yeah, it's just right now it's something I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be this fantasy story about traveling to a magical tower, right? That's just that's the same boring crap that Lord of the Rings is. I'm not interested. Okay, I'm just not.
No one ring to rule them all. It's just the bloodline.
Oh dear. All right, what are you giving Batgirl 18?
I'm gonna give this a tentative 7.5.
I am giving it a 6 out of 10, and it pains me to do it, but it's as high as I can go. The craft is perfectly solid. I just do not like what it's doing right now. Ah, dear. All right. Poison Ivy, issue 43. WIllow Wilson writing with Jaime Infante? I don't know how to say his last name.
Let me look at it real quick. It's my
Infante.
My page is loading. Infante. Yes.
There you go. That sounds.
That's what I would say.
Anyway, this is you that reads this. You talk about it.
Yeah. So it starts off with a short time before the mayor stuff kicks off, and that Harley is crying because Ivy has just told her that they cannot be a public couple because now that she's running for mayor, she can't be seen with a clown. And those aren't Ivy's words, those are Harley's words, but Ivy doesn't she doesn't correct her. And she's just like, I'm not ashamed of you, but you gotta be saying it's not a good look for me to be running with mayor with you running around. And so Harley's like, I've had enough of this, and she leaves. And Pam's on the floor, and is clearly upset. And so it smash cuts to the mayor's office now, and she's there, and Janet brings in Great White, who is handling infrastructure, and he has with him this plumbing magnate whose family has worked on Gotham's for generations. And Ivy wants a tour of the sewer systems because who knows them better than this guy? Now, this is all they cover because Ivy doesn't want to do things as things have been done before. And that is the main through line that Wilson throws in here, is that Ivy became mayor to make a difference, not to keep doing the same things. However, the longer this book goes on, the more Ivy falls back into old habits. And for a while, I was thinking that was a weakness of the book, but I feel that is Wilson saying that, like, no matter what Ivy does, she's her own worst enemy. Because all of these decisions that she makes to try to make things better, she can't get out of her own way. So she takes this guy down into the sewers. And he's like, "Hey, wait, no, I'm not an actual plumber. Like, I run like the business side of things." And she's like, "Well, if you're on top of all of the work, then you should trust that your guys have been doing the right thing." And she takes him down to where she was hanging out as Queen Ivy, like hanging out in the sewers, because that's where during that run of time, that's where they brought in, sort of Tynan brought in the gardener, right? I don't know if you remember any of that stuff from Batman when Ivy was Queen Ivy, but
yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And then that's where she got infected with the Lamia spores and became this kind of version of her and was reborn, and we got all of that fun stuff. But as they're walking through this area, and she can see all the greenery that is coming up in these sewers, right? So that means like life is possible through all of this. There's this thud, and she turns around and it's Catwoman. And I'm still not clear why Catwoman's there, but she says that she's basically on the run from Savage, and that she's disappointed in Pam doing the things that she's doing. And that's what I was referring to when we were talking about Batman, in that seeing her make that decision in Batman, the way that Savage was able to kind of sweet talk her into doing this, and then seeing here on not doing things the way that they've always been done before. I see why she gave Savage the okay to go after Batman, because in the pages of Poison Ivy, her and Batman have like a stalemate going on, right? That's why she's able to be in Gotham, but she doesn't come all the way in. And you have the Green Knights that are running around still, and all of that. And here, Selina presses her about Harley, and you know, she tells her, you know, "I don't know what you're playing at. I know you didn't run out of the goodness of your heart." And Ivy tells her the legitimate power is the only way to protect herself from her enemies, right? Which, again, things going on in this country feels very spot on to certain other political figures. And when she gets pressed about Harley, the plumbing magnet pops up and gets completely taken by seeing Catwoman there. He wants an autograph, and thinks like there's this whole big thing. But Selina runs up to a pipe, and we don't see her again. As they were handling all of this, through one of the quarters they came through, someone has painted. So, mind you, in the time that Ivy and the plumbing guy had walked through here, this spray paint wasn't on there. But it is a quote from Richard II, which is one of Shakespeare's history plays, about a hollow crown. And it says, "Within the hollow crown that rounds the mortal temples," and this is where it starts to get, hold on, hollow crown, "rounds the mortal temples of a king, keeps death his court," right? And she's, you know, she's like, I don't suppose you're a fan of Shakespeare. You wouldn't have done this. And he's like, "Oh no, I go to the Renaissance Fair with my daughter every year. You know, she Shakespeare, but other than that, nothing." And yeah, so that ends up playing into things later. But Ivy's entire plan to bring this guy down here is to show how much, like, what they've done has done damage to Gotham, because as they have replumbed all of the stuff underground, they have redirected raw sewage to empty into the river, which is poisoning Gotham in the long run. And he's like, "Well, I didn't have any other choice. And that was all before my time." And, you know, he says, "You know, murdering me isn't going to fix Gotham." And she goes, "Well, we won't know until we try." So she ends up encasing him in this tree. One second, I got a cough.
Oh, Matt's having a rough time. Oh, there it goes. Oh, he's gone. He's got it. He's got it.
I hit mute too many times, so it muted. I didn't want to get coughing on camera. Am I back? I'm not back. I'm back.
You're back. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes. Anyways, she's like, "Well, we won't know till we try." So he gets a case in this. It's called like Dragonwood or Dracana Draco, a dragon tree, and it can survive in almost complete darkness. So she encases him at the root of where this stuff is being, like the raw sewage is being taken out of. And she calls Janet and is like, yeah, we're definitely going to need a new plumbing connection. As she calls Janet, Janet's there with the new lady who I forget her name, but she's like the press person. Juhi is her name, Juhi. And they're arguing about Janet's relationship with Ivy. And she's like, I don't think this is like the one HR rule you're not supposed to break, and you're the HR person. And Juhi tells her, you're allowed to walk away. You don't have to stay with Pam all the time. And Janet's like, yeah, but what if I don't want to? So it's almost now that she's just embraced Ivy in her life. And Ivy encapsulates this guy, and she calls Peter Undine, who's the guy with the flower face, and she starts crawling up through the sewer. And he tells her that, we're going to need a new plumbing person. Can you work with your connections you have from the business sides of things? And then she asks him about Shakespeare, about the Hollow Crown. And he's like, it was a warning about the emptiness of power and the inevitability of death. But, for Pam, that means nothing, because she's been revived so many times. And then he's like, you do become a bit paranoid every time something like this happens. And again, 1 second.
Matt's dying to do everyone on the show. Just bear with us. He is very old, he's way over 40 now.
Yeah. It's also prime allergy seasons right now, so the irony of having these coughing fits while talking about poison ivy is not lost on me. But anyways, they end up talking. They end up meeting each other in Gotham, and like everyone that's around Pam is like starstruck to see her. And right before they meet up, Undine is telling her, like, you tend to get a bit paranoid anything like this happens, like, because everyone close to you has ever turned on you. And she's like, yeah, but the businessmen deserve it, right? They have it coming. Undine's totally not sold, and Sprout, who's in the Green Knights, he comes up, he's like, hey, something just popped out of the ground in the park, in Robinson Park. It's got teeth. So Ivy and Undine run over to go see, and it ends up being one of the guys from the Parliament of Trees known as the Hill. And he's there to tell Pam that she's really messed things up by killing and eating the Bog Venus, and the Parliament's going to war. So her and Undine see Sprout, who runs up saying that something popped out of Robinson Park and it has teeth. And so they run over there and they see there's this big like mound of green talking, and it is, as Ivy calls him, the Hill, the most turnip-brained of the Parliament of Trees. And he's there to let Ivy know that the Parliament is going to war with her now because she killed and ate the Bog Venus. And that's where the issue ends. So not only is she, having issues as mayor and needing a new plumbing contractor, but the Parliament of Trees is going to war with her. And I would assume Gotham as a whole. So a pretty solid issue. And we're seeing the fallout from Ivy's decisions and her impulsivity and whatnot, right? Because original plan wasn't to kill the businessman, like the plumbing guy. And she got pissed because of the runoff. And yeah. So she's still just doing these things and making headaches. And yeah. So the art's not like, it's good, right? Like all the stuff down the sewers has like a lot of heavy shadows and is really playing with this like the sense of claustrophobia. But like compared to some of the other artists that we've had on there, it's not as good as like say a Takara, right? But it does the job enough. And like the different plant creatures, right? Like you have the Hill when he shows up, right? I've never seen anything quite like this. right? Where it's just like this big chunk of the park sprouting up, and talking. So I thought that looked pretty good. But yeah, to rate this one, I will give it a 7.5.
Okay. That'll take us on to GSA issue 18. Jeff Lemire writing with Gavin Guidry on the art. And this wraps up the year one story arc that we've been doing for the last several months. And it is aggressively just okay. Like, shocking.
Aggressively mid.
It is shocking to me how little this story really did or accomplished. Like,
yep.
You know, the whole like Ultra Humanite ends up in the villain, fine, okay? But ultimately, they all just kind of survive the explosion. Alan Scott uses the Green Lantern to, you know, give them a bubble. That's fine. That's how we start, because the explosion was a cliffhanger last time. And then from there, they basically all just run off to like deal with the bombs that are everywhere, and some of them chase Ultra Humanite, and that's it. And at the end, they just kind of say, hey, we kind of work together as a team. We're some kind of crime fighting like team. Is like, what about the Justice Society? Yeah, that just sounds right. And it's all just building up to them taking the photo around the table. And I love how they have to like explain why Hawk Girl's not in it. Like, they have this little bit when she's like, oh, I'm not going to be the only woman in the photo. I'll wait until Hippolyta's back, because Hippolyta's went back to Themyscira. And I'm like,
yep,
this is weird. What? why wasn't she just in the photo in the first place? Did they just decide that Hawk Girl was going to be included and then like had to explain why she's not there to begin with? I don't know. It felt really strange to me.
Yeah, but the Spectre is there, and the Spectre had very kind of little to do with ultimately the rest of this.
Yeah, honestly,
right?
It's like this entire arc, right, which is supposed to be a year one that tells the story of how they all come to work together. It's such a nothing burger. They're all investigating separate parts of something. They run into each other in sort of different little mini groups throughout the story, and then here at the end, they're all together and they all just kind of like go off to solve the thing, and it ends up being so quick and easy. And because they didn't spend that much time, like, you know, like, oh, these two characters don't want to work together. They don't like each other, but they finally learn to work together at the end to save the day. That could have been something, but there's nothing like that here. I didn't feel like it was anyway. It just, I don't know. It's so mediocre and unfulfilling. I don't understand.
It's up there with Flash year one as a not good year one, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's easier to read than that probably was, but like, in some ways it's more disappointing. Very strange. I do not get it. It's weird to me that Lemire can be such an exceptional writer sometimes, and even, you know, Absolute Flash is pretty solid. It's not his best work, but it's pretty damn solid.
Yeah.
And then this just feels like it's just going through the motions. This feels like the most phoned in. Like nothing's happening.
That's the best way to do it, because as I'm like, oh, we're gonna end with them taking the picture on the table, and that's exactly what it is. And there's no surprise. There's no nothing. It's phoned in. Like, he's just going through the motions of like, oh, this is the JSA. Oh, look, see in the picture, Sandman is wearing that new mask, so we gotta say, you know, someone gave him this other one because it doesn't look as scary. And yeah, not a very good year one. But then this is where I get upset, because then it hooks me into the stuff that's going on in modern times. You know, they introduce, you know, and you know, the backup story.
Oh yeah, that's the little epilogue. I just want to say before we move on to that though, that this like year one, it's not even like about it being a year one. Like we've critiqued why it's not a good year one for the entire arc. I think what really sticks out to me now that we've finished the arc in general is just how much it's not a good comic arc, because nothing escalated, it felt like. It felt like hardly anything was building throughout the whole thing. Maybe because there's too many characters, so we're just bouncing around them so much that you can't really do that much with any one of their stories, right? Because you only have maybe like 4 pages per character each issue to really do their bit. You can't make it that intricate. And the problem with that is that by the time we get to the end here, it just feels like nothing's really, like, has the relationship between Hippolyta and, you know, the Atom really changed all that much, or feel like it's grown or developed? Is the relationship between I don't know, Jay and whoever. I don't know. It feels very just nothing. I just
yeah. And the one thing that I do feel like he has a point of view on the opening page here, where he breaks them up into certain groups. And you have like the Idealists, which is, the Flash, Green Lantern, Johnny Thunderbolt. Then you have the Misfits. You have Amazing Man, Hour Man, Sandman, and the Atom. And then the Warriors, who's Hippolyta and the Hawks. And I was like, oh, okay, so at least he's trying to tell something here. And then that ultimately doesn't do anything. Like, there's no bonding, right? There's nothing that puts them on that kind of levels. And I was like, I wish he had done that from the beginning, where you have all these different types of characters coming together to build the society, right? To make the world better. And we don't even get anything close to that here.
Like I said, my focus here, I've already complained ad nauseum about it being a bad year one. My focus here is that I just don't think it was a good arc either, like as an arc. Like it didn't build, it didn't feel like the characters really grew. And when they get to the end here and they've like taken down Humanite and they're just like, oh, we're just getting started. We made a pretty good team. It's just like the most generic, like we've started a superhero team dialogue you could ever possibly have. Nothing feels like there was anything remotely interesting to say here. I just, it's the blandest possible thing. Like this is like if the MCU made an adaptation of JSA's origin story, it would be this bland, right? So I don't.
It's gotta be pretty bland for me not to get worked up over a giant ape, right?
Well, it's a nothing thing. He shows up and he's in a fight scene for like 2 pages and it's over. Yep. Like they spent all this time apparently building, like if they'd actually spent, it felt like they were building like a super serious villain that was a big deal. Yep. But by the time we actually get to fighting Ultra Humanite, we've already like dealt with all the explosives. We're already like stopped his plan. Yep. It feels like such a whimper. Everything about this just feels like it's not even reaching for a higher than a 6 out of 10. Right? It feels like it's like that's the ceiling of it possibly could get to. There's like no spark, there's no fire. It's just devoid of anything. Anyway, there's an epilogue that continues the stuff from last issue where Stargirl's back along with Atom Smasher, and they're like, hey, the JSA should be a school now. We should train the next generation of the society, just like these younger characters like Stargirl and Kid Eternity and Jakeem look up to us. We should be looking to the next generation. And they all like that idea. Alan and Scott are going to be the headmasters, but they do sort of question by the end, wait a minute, where is Kid Eternity? We've not seen her in a while. That's actually like such a good like thing to complain about here, is like, what do you mean you've not seen her in a while? We have not even been spending time with you these last 6 issues. How in the F were we meant to know that she'd been missing?
Yeah.
This is such
good question.
a shitty way to bring this up. I'm like, what do you mean, where is she? Like, we've not been like, it's not like we've been doing an arc in present day and like it's weird how she's not been around, or maybe we saw some like suspicious moment where she disappeared or something. Maybe we did. Maybe she disappeared at the end of the arc before year one and I've just forgotten about it. But anyway, she's with the Spectre and then she becomes the new Spectre. That's your tease for the next issue. Lame.
Yeah. That said, I did like them bringing up that the JSA should be like a school and need to have their impact, because that's what we love about the JSA is this whole idea of legacy and, the youth working with the olds and whatnot. And then it builds to this thing with the Spectre. And I'm just like, I don't care about this.
Yeah, but what you just said there isn't a story, it's an idea. And yes, that idea is good, right. But, there's story here that's actually made it interesting or exciting. This book was teetering on the drop list, but by the end of the second arc. And then year one seemed like a little bit more interesting to start with. And it's always been an easy read. If nothing else, it's not terrible because it's very easy to read. It flows well enough. It looks fine, all that stuff. But I'm done. Like this was so mediocre, and I'm so annoyed about how mediocre it ultimately was, and how it felt like it did nothing by the end. Like when you read Batman year one, right, which is typically the thing people think about when they think of the year one, right, the prime year one that you go back to because it was the first one, is that story gets into this like, oh, why did Gordon consider working with a vigilante? It shows why he was having doubts about the system and why he turns to this this fantastical character that's showing up, and it builds up Batman's motivation and why he's like, it felt like it actually added new things to why they made these choices to become what they were, because ultimately that's what a year one's about. It's about taking like an origin story that at its best in the past, even if it was the Silver Age era, was like a really cheesy quick thing that they just sort of did to get out the way, and then okay, now we're superheroes here, right? It wasn't something they spent a big amount of time actually exploring. The year one came along with Batman and was like, no, we're actually going to explore why he chose to do this, why other characters choose to be allies, why these things matter, and to make it feel like it's a big deal that he became this hero in the first place. And I feel like this year one, and like any bad year one, just takes it for granted. Yeah, of course they're the JSA, because they just are, right? It was inevitable.
Yep.
No, it shouldn't be inevitable. A year one feels good because it's not inevitable, and it feels like they're, like it's something that happens almost like in spite of everything else, trying to stop someone from rising up to be a hero. Anyway, I'm going into rant mode here, so yeah. I'm done.
That's all right. And that's what I was getting at earlier with the idea that he broke them down into these different classes of people, and then they all came together. And that's where I feel like it wouldn't have been as inevitable, right? Because it's not even a can they coexist. It's like there's all these different groups, and they came together because the world needed saving. But he doesn't execute any of that stuff. And we get that, those groupings in the last issue of it all. And yeah, it just seems like a waste.
And the story is so thin and scattershot because we're following all these different pods of characters. Like there's no, there's like, even if you break down, like, again, go back to Batman Year One, just something as simple as, oh, Gordon doesn't trust the people that he's working with, and they're showing up to try and beat him up. And it's like there's tension just in the basic setups that it's going through, the basic story it's telling. If you could, if I was to say to you, Matt, try and give a 1-sentence synopsis of what the actual story of this year one was. What would you say? What's the basic synopsis?
I can't do it in a sentence because there's too much going on.
They're all investigating something suspicious that's all connected. That's the best as I can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we're good. I guess we could just read it. Yeah, but I'm done. I'm done with the book. JSA is dropped. It's just too disappointing every time I read it now. It's mediocre.
Well, and I just looked ahead, and we're getting into Spectre stuff in the next 2 issues. And the Spectre fighting a host, which I feel like anytime I've ever read a Spectre story, that's the only one that they do. So again, it just feels like Lemire's mailing stuff in.
But now it's a teenage girl, Matt. It's so different.
Right, but the next issue cover, and this is again spoilers, people, if you do care about that type of stuff, is Kid Eternity and the Spectre, and then the issue after that, issue 20, is the JSA have to stop the Spectre because he needs to be bound to a new host. So it doesn't even seem like the whole Kid Eternity thing lasts more than an issue. Then we're getting Rampaging Spectre in the next one, which I'm like, every Spectre story I've ever read is Rampaging Spectre. So come on. I expect more out of Lemire at this point.
Yeah. What are you giving JSA?
I'm going to give this a 5.5.
Yeah, I'm just going 5. Straight 5. I'm not going lower than that because it looks perfectly solid. It flows well. It's an easy read. There's nothing wrong with the craft. It's just that the actual story and the content is just really lame and mediocre and does nothing.
Womp womp.
All right, Superman, the Book of L, issue 7, Phillip Kennedy Johnson writing with Scott Godlewski on the art. All right. I hate that I'm doing like a negative block today, but this was just okay.
The main problem with this book is there's so much going on, and I say this every time. I forget what led up to this. I had to read this twice because at first I didn't get. Number one, there's a misprint in here. And at least in my copy that I got.
Oh, okay.
They called Starchild, which that's how I'm referring to them as now, Starchild and Red Sun.
That's Otho. Starchild.
Right. The one that I have, it calls her Osol Ra, the Starchild. And then I proceeded to get very confused because each after that is they're referring to her as Otho. So it's on the page where she's got the sun at her background. So that was fun. And I forgot why she's racing around with the black racer here. Well, and so I'm just reading this without the context.
Well, they kind of set it up at the start of this, I guess, but this is my problem, and I think this is my problem with a lot of this particular book, that the Book of El, is that so much of it is all this just new lore that keeps getting added on and made up about all the Olgren stuff, right? Which was fun when it was like just the one part back in the War saga. But then the other part of it, and this is the same problem that I'm kind of having with the current Batgirl arc or so, is this idea of all these extra characters who are being introduced, but we're not like getting to know them, and like because normally you introduce a character, then you spend time with them, they grow, they have a little arc, and that gives you like attachment to them because you saw them go through a change, and you'll remember them forever because you saw them grow up a little bit, or you saw them make a good choice or a bad choice. I feel like all these extended like descendants of the House of El are adding up so much that I'm like, I don't remember who any of these characters are. So that's making them not that fun to read for me. All this like very quickly like, hey, to save Superman who's currently dying, someone has to like light the belt, the belt of the Black Racer with the 3 stars, and only the fire of all the stars combined will wake up Superman. I'm like, okay, what? It's a bunch of just gobbledygook. It's made up stuff, and obviously some of it looks good, and the racing around and the Black Racer almost getting to her and like almost grabbing her and all that. There's some fun to be had there. But that's that's about it. I don't know. It was like the art is good. Like there's some fun spectacle in what's happening, but it feels very hollow to me because none of this feels like, oh, this is long-standing set-up stuff, right? And they kind of try and pretend that stuff's set up because at the start they say, oh, there was a prophecy that one day it would be the children of El that would save Superman and not the other way around. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, but like all of these mechanics, all of the things that are going to save him all just feel like a bunch of made-up exposition and mythical gobbledygook just to, and that's the whole issue. The whole issue is this like plan in motion, and like the other House of El members trying to like basically back up Otho as she's running around and or flying around, I should say.
And these aren't just the House of El; these are the Phillosians that got that Superman freed from Warworld.
Yeah, it's all the Phillosians.
Yeah, these are their descendants, right? Because the House of El, that was like Ronan Kent, who we'd met.
That's what I meant. I didn't mean to say descendants. Gotcha. I meant the Phillosians. Yes. I just meant the people.
Well, no, but this is.
Yeah.
But that's the problem, right? Is it goes into the point that you're making with all these new characters. We're not spending a lot of time with them, right? So Philip Kennedy Johnson is shotgunning these at us. And again, as someone that likes deep lore of this type of stuff, I'm enjoying it on the surface level. But again, them lighting up the belts and the way that we get to the end, that the Phillosians that are in this area, they had created, they taken the concept of the Black Racer as a savior, is because the point with the Warworld and keeping them down was like, oh, only through death could they be free. So they took the concept of death and turned that to their savior. It's like, well, they'd each been taken by the Black Racer every time they've each tried to do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when Star Child's the one to do it, and she ends up taking the helm of the Black Racer, so who's going to take it? Because clearly we know she's not going to have it forever. So now does just one get that? Like overall, did they know that would happen? Is that why they've been doing this? Because they seem pretty, and that's why I had to go and read it twice. And I didn't get any of that on the second read through. Is they know that she had to charge the belt, right? For it's Olgren's wrath, right? But did they not know she would turn into the Black Racer? Because when you beat the Black Racer,
it didn't seem like
you become it.
It didn't seem like they did, though. Yeah. They thought she just defeated the Black Racer, and the Black Racer says, no, right. I don't die, I just become the new Black Racer, or do you become the new Black Racer? And you get that big full-page spread of her, in her super Black Racer suit, and that's kind of it. And it's all about saving Superman. In the ending, we get a little epilogue that teases where Ozul is, with someone who claims to be the only son of Superman still alive, and it's a very
Pyros.
Yes, he's got like an evil-looking S shield on his chest and all that,
Yep.
and yeah, this is another.
So did you?
On you go.
I was gonna say, during Action Comics, there was that Book of L or House of L that shot into the future. I don't remember if you read it. I know Connor did because I talked to Connor about it.
I think I did. I feel like I remember doing that.
And that's where a lot of these archetypes had come from, right? You had Con-El, who was like the barbarian-looking Superman. You had Ronan and Rowan Kent.
Yeah.
And then you had this guy at the end of it. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't. I remember reading that. I remember learning because when Ronan and that showed up in this book, I'm like, yeah, I vaguely remember these characters. So I definitely read that one shot or that special, whatever it was.
And the whole thing with Pyros is that he is the actual last blood descendant, or like the son of Superman, and that would always had caused, like, at least for me, some weirdness, because it's like, well, no, John's around, right? So like, who is this Pyros guy? You know,
well, descendant. So he's someone who's descended from John as well, no?
Well, no, because he says he's the only one son of Superman still lives. So this is a kid that was born after John. That was always a thing. I
don't think that's what he means, though. I don't think he literally means that Superman's his father. I think he just means that he is the last descendant, the last like direct blood descendant of Superman. I think that's what he means. I could be wrong, but that's how I read it.
Because I remember when he showed up in the original one, that was the take on it. Because at the end of that, this old bearded Superman shows up and renders Pyro, like, leaves him crying, right? Because he finally returned and stuff. So, yeah, to see him show up, that was Future State Superman House of L #1.
I remember reading that.
Right.
God, I have to admit, though, I'm so not interested in any of this bullshit. Like, I don't care. Yep. I just do not care.
we're over halfway, and I need to know how they get back out. So I'm sticking on, right? Because I want to know how this plays out.
I mean, I'll probably read the next one. I'm losing steam, though. I hate how negative I've been this episode, but like after the first couple of books, like everything's been kind of disappointing to me in one way or another. Which is probably just making me more annoyed as I go. But like this, it's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo about what the rules are lighting up this spell, and I'm like, this is all just stuff that's getting pulled out now. Like, none of this feels like it makes any kind of like sense with stuff from before, or at the very least, nothing before was memorable to make this all feel like it clicks together. So I don't know. Like, I think I've always liked this stuff in the future less than the rest of Johnson's Action Comics stuff, like always by a considerable amount, but like I feel like the more it goes, the more I'm getting frustrated at just how little I'm connecting with it. And a big part of it is all this new mythology that he just kind of keeps like throwing in there on top of it. And then the other thing being the fact that all these characters, we're not spending enough time with these characters to actually make them stick and make me remember them and make me care about them.
This was the first one that I got, and I don't want to say annoyed is the right word, but like, just because the lack of clarity and context for this thing with the Black Racer and the Philosians and all that thing, because I do like seeing the ideas that he put forward with the Warworld stuff playing out with the future, because that was our introduction to him, right? It was that future story where there was the Superman museum and the girl went there because she was inspired by Superman.
Yeah.
And there was all this sense of awe and wonder. And there's just not any sense of awe and wonder at this point. And now I feel like I'm reading Wikipedia articles more to try to remember some of the stuff.
Yeah.
As it goes.
Yeah, and that wasn't as far in the future though. Like, I mean, that part you're specifically talking about where she goes to the Smallville museum and hears the stories. That was like, relatively near future, right? Compared to this, this is like thousands of years or whatever.
Right. Post Legion. But yeah, so. Real quick with Pyros, I had to look him up. And speaking of reading wiki articles, right? He is the son of Superman and the demigod Circe. So I remember being like, what the hell? And he became the Red King because he embraced both heritages, so the magic and the Kryptonian, and waged war of the House of L before being redeemed by his father. And that was in that future, Future State story? It was Future State. And now he's showing back up, right? So here we are. Where does that story play out in relation to the rest of this? I don't know, but yeah, it's a lot, and I hope it rounds into shape because I like Phillip Kennedy Johnson on Superman. I think he knows how to handle the ideas, but again, that sense of awe and wonder just seemed to be gone. Now it just seems like he's just like info dumping on us all of his ideas, that he had for like this kind of future fantasy, like sci-fi fantasy kind of take on Superman. And while these ideas are cool, it's just too much at one time. And that's where I'm getting a little bit bogged down. But again, we're halfway through. I'm invested to see where this goes. And then you bring up the bastard son of Superman and Cersei, and I'm like, hold on, let me see where this goes. But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm it was a little bit of a chore to read. Yeah, so I'll probably, if I drop this and JSA, I'll have almost nothing to read this week, next month. So I'm not going to drop both, but I'm definitely.
So that'd be perfect for your Patreon stuff.
Oh, we just read all my Patreon books on week one, just get all them out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be a weird episode.
Get them out the way.
But I just a weak.
Yeah.
Just a weak connection to what's going on.
I'm joining you in dropping JSA. I have a hard time dropping this. Just because it is a limited series, right? So we know
that's true. I hope it swings back up. I really do. But we got 5 left.
Yep.
And it's funny because the last thing Johnson just finished was the Batman and Robin running out. That ended up in a really solid.
Yeah.
It was only 2 arcs basically, but it was a really solid 2 arcs of Batman and Robin. And I think this just feels and it's a shame because this is connected to some really good Superman stuff that he did.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
Hey, all right. What are you giving Book of L issue 7?
I'm gonna give this a 6.5.
I'm going 5. I wish it was more. I'm just annoyed. I just feel disconnected and I'm annoyed. So, all right. So every month now on Patreon, you can vote between 3 books for us to cover one of them. And so one of the books that was there for this vote that just ended was that Bizarro book that came out this week. But the one that actually was victorious was Justice League Unlimited issue 17 that came out last week. This is the start of the new arc. This is post KO. So much like we've tried some other books that we'd previously dropped for the start of their new arc. In some cases they had new teams. In some cases it was just a new arc. But this is a new arc on Justice League Unlimited issue 17, and it's obviously Mark Waid writing, and we have who's it on the art?
Clayton Henry.
There's a Clayton Henry. Joe, I saw Henry on the cover there, and I was like, "Is it him?" Because I was like, I don't notice the foreheads being too bad. So
he
credit.
had the opportunity to give Red Tornado the biggest forehead.
I know,
and he didn't. So I'm proud of Clayton Henry for dialing it down, because I would say, while not like, I think of course it's not Dan Mora that we've had on this book, right?
Oh yeah.
I like his character designs. They all look really good.
There's been some strong artists on this book. As much as we've had some misgivings about actually enjoying the story, it just kind of feels like it's in the past it's been like just patching in like events and crossovers as opposed to having its own thing. And this kind of falls into that a little bit in that it's doing some post KO cleanup. And I appreciate them going out of their way to explain, since apparently everyone does remember KO, that I also think it's kind of silly that the world just kind of like magically fixes itself. Like all the apocalyptic land goes away and like the regular world just restores. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I guess Superman did this with these like, he's, it feels weird to call it a wish, but like his, I had to fix everything moment. But
yeah.
It feels silly to have them actually be watching on monitors as like land is reshaping and like,
Because you would think the way that Superman was able to do this with the Heart of Apocalypse, they would have just blinked and they would have been back into the real world. And no one would have remembered.
Right? The fact that the civilians might even be able to remember that they had to be evacuated and shit just feels so weird to me.
Yes, because I understand like the superheroes remembering, right? them going through it and Superman being like, well, we can't forget this because, you know, if you forget your history, you're doomed to repeat it. I could see them playing that type of stuff off. But yeah, them watching on the monitors, Blue Beetle, the land coming back like it's like a white fade, you know, like this way. Super, super weird, but you know, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is mostly a cleanup issue where it's kind of like saying, okay, all the heroes are back from KO, the tournament's over. Batman and Wonder Woman give a speech to everyone saying, hey, like, Superman's gone, but he's not dead. We know he's not dead, and we know he'll be back, so we continue on, and we do this, blah, blah, blah. But the actual thing that it's setting up, right, to get past all this, just kind of cleaning up the KO stuff, it's more about the villains, and we get a tease at the start, of course, but we'll ignore that for now. In the middle, there's a distress call because in Keystone City, a couple of the villains that were meant to be transported back to their cells ended up in the city instead, and in this case, Tarpit and Girder. And basically, who is it? It's Stargirl, Kid Flash, as in Wallace, and Airwave, who go to deal with them. But the twist here is that they're actually helping hold up the highway that's going to collapse. They're saving people. And the heroes like sort of like try and stop them, thinking they're doing something bad, and then afterwards get chewed out where Tarpit's like, you like, this was going to be the end of everything. This like KO thing was going to kill everyone. Don't you think we'd also want to help for that? And we didn't even ask us. You just tried to put us in a box. And I'm like, okay, that's an interesting tactic to take here.
I like this is like, yeah, we did bad things, but we still have families. So if this was the last thing we got to do, we didn't even get to say goodbye to our people.
Yeah.
And you took that decision from us, and I was like, oh, okay, Wade, you're throwing some interesting concepts out.
It's a nice idea. It's a nice idea. Although to counter that, there was a moment that really pissed me off where it basically just summed up how stupid the event was, where someone says, yes, KO is over, the Tournament of Champions is done, but it turns out that was only the prequel to the real fight that's still coming. And I'm like, oh, that's just comic books 101. I was like, yeah, this event was not the be-all, end-all. The next event, though, that's going to be the be-all, end-all. That made me roll my eyes so hard. Anyway, this stuff with the villains, it actually lands quite well. Batman and Wonder Woman are watching on the monitors, and they're like, And you can sort of see Wonder Woman looking a little bit compassionate, whereas Batman's grimacing as he always does. I thought that was a nice choice in the art. And it leads to this idea that Wonder Woman wants to do something bold. She wants to enact something. And I will give some credit here. I did like that Wade wrote multiple times here, Batman admitting that he cannot make this choice. And he's not refusing to do it. He's simply saying that I am biased and I know that I will never make this choice fairly, right? I need other people. I need Shazam here and Diana to talk and like give me the opinions here. But basically it's like, hey, if these villains are going to be useful later on and they want to redeem themselves, and the whole idea of the Phantom Zone now is to offer them a chance of redemption, they go and speak to Mon-El about it, then do we... Now, I do think it's maybe a bit of a stretch to just give them full unlimited Justice League access with a membership card. That feels like a little bit of a leap.
Well, especially to Lex.
I know.
Because he won until Doomsday Time Trapper enacted the I get to do what I want rule and gave all of his energy to Superman to bring Superman back. So like, the maniac who actually won the tournament is not somebody I'm giving unlimited Justice League access to.
Yeah.
You know?
So I think that's a bit of a leap, but I do like the idea of like, okay, why don't we like give them some freedom, give them some probation, and the idea is that when there's something like that they might want to actually help us with, because the entire world, like, because not all the villains want to destroy the world and kill everyone. Some of them just want to steal stuff. Some of them just want to be rich.
Yeah,
they're not evil. So I'm okay with that idea. So but giving them like membership feels really strange to me, and that's what the opening tease, because Lex is one of the ones that shows up and says, hey, me and Giganta are here to save you, and it's like, okay, that's interesting. I guess it's not entirely original. Lex has been on the Justice League before. We did that in the New 52, so it's not even been that long, relatively speaking, but hey, it's something. I have a question though, Matt, that I would like to ask you. Well, two things. One, I don't know if it makes sense to me that they're sort of like bundling Harley Quinn in with the rest of the villains, given she's been kind of like more of an anti-hero for like a long time now.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, because she was in that page where they're all getting their membership cards. That was a bit odd.
Yep.
Especially since she's been on the Birds of Prey recently. She's done lots of heroic things recently. But my question, though, is why in the hell does she have a Batgirl on in this panel? Is that something that's going on? And I mean, she's in Poison Ivy. Is she wearing this and that?
No, she was dressed like Harley. She was dressed like as the typical Harley with a jacket and everything. Not like this. I don't know what this is about.
I'll be honest. If it didn't say Harley Quinn next to her, I would never have known this was Harley Quinn.
No, me neither.
I wouldn't have known who it was, admittedly. No. I'd be like scratching my head going, who the hell is this? Yeah. But very strange. Maybe it's something in her book, or maybe they're just going for like a joke here where like, oh, I'm a hero now. I will wear a Batgirl because that's what heroes do in Gotham. Yeah, I don't know.
But she's been on there for like, even during Tynan's run, they did that where Batman comes to her for help. Yeah. She's like, you're really going to come up? It's like, yeah, but she goes, you're like a psychologist. You're a psychiatrist. Like, of course they would come to you for help. She's
basically been on the heroic side at least since the start of the New 52, right? Like, ever since she's had a book since the start of the New 52, I feel like she's been a comedy hero character, not a villain.
Yep. And
so, like, strange.
And like with Lobo, I understand them going to Lobo because Lobo is he's an ultimate neutral, right? Lobo does what Lobo wants, right? So I get that it's Guy that comes to him. You know, and adding King Shark there, you know, King Shark's had like on the Harley Quinn TV show, right? He's had a moment and become like a fan favorite.
Yeah. I think
so. I get those, but yeah, Harley's been a hero. I guess the point is she's never been part of the Justice League.
I guess.
So adding her to there as I guess is the wrinkle. You know, but giving her this, you could have just given her the big mallet. I don't know what's up with the cowl, you know?
Yeah, very strange. Then it's all, and I'm not accusing them of using AI here, but it's almost like AI made a mistake and thought, am I doing Batgirl or Harley Quinn? Oh, it'll be a mishmash of both. That's what it shut out. I think Giganta's a fun one though. I like the idea of Giganta being on a hero team. I think that's kind of fun.
Absolutely, because she's the one that's unstable, right? Like she's, you know, it's the up and the down. And so we'll see how she reacts to people like not running in fear from her. So I think that could be fun. I like her introduction with Lex though. Lex is in the full, you know, LexCorp suit, but covering his face like Iron Man, right? And Starro's there with them, and she's poking in through the building with her big self. So
I mean, I assume is the one who like maybe like just put her hand in and made the hole. Like she probably just like put her hand in as a giant and made them an entrance is what I was getting from that. Absolutely. That's the tease at the start, and then like I said, the middle's a lot of the cleanup of the KO stuff and setting up this thing.
Yeah. And they get into the idea that all the people that were involved in the tournament, when Superman won, he gave them all like the sense of like what do they call it? Like
Omega energy, though.
Yeah, it was Omega, but they gave him like a vision, but it wasn't quite a vision. Yeah, okay. And,
no, you're right.
And it teases the Emperor Aquaman stuff, right? Because it shows.
Yeah, basically, everyone gets like a vision of their future in some way, something they have to do to help in the coming fight, and for some of them, like Shazam seems to see a crazy evil version of himself because he's smiling like a maniac. Hawkman seems to have to take off his wings and burn them, apparently.
Yep.
So yeah, they're teasing this element to it, and this maybe is something that'll play out in JLU. I didn't hate the issue. I didn't love it either. It's just kind of okay. Like it's still suffering from being, oh, this is just the book that's used to do some cleanup for whatever else is going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the spine of the events, right? Everything comes out through this, and I don't want that to pick that. I want to see them all interacting, and we say this before, but like I want to see Stargirl teaming up with Batman. You know, that's why you have the Justice League Unlimited, is for stories like that, and we just haven't gotten anything quite like that. But I will say this is a step in the right direction. That even though it's dealing with all these other stuff and fallouts from things, I do like the idea that post KO, you know, that Wade wants to play with the idea of rehabilitating these villain characters.
I like that idea, and
right?
if they became main characters who had full stories, that would be really good. I think my concern is, Matt, is that this is just going to be more of what it was before, but with more characters, because now all these villains are also included.
He's playing collector, right? He's like, oh, now I get Lex, now I get Giganta. Oh, they're in my collection.
Like, the best issue of this book was probably the one that was all from Airwave's perspective, because it was one of the most. It was the only issue that felt focused, because that's what he needs to do. He should focus on a couple of characters per issue, tell something meaningful with them, and then it can build to something with the whole team or something. I don't know, but yeah. So
yeah. Well, and then also you kind of skimmed over the reason that Batman consulted with Diana and Shazam was that Shazam has the wisdom of Solomon. Diana has the wisdom of Athena, right? So he wanted to look at it from that perspective, not just the numbers like he would do it, right? Where Batman goes with pure, I said he talked to them. That's why he picks those two, is because they have these extra wisdom. Right.
Powers.
However, that goes contrary to like how snippy he is towards Wonder Woman, right? When Wonder Woman is doing this talk about Superman, he cuts her off. And, because of his strength, of his humility, and he cuts off, he goes, his weakness. And I was like, wait, why are you writing Batman like such an a-hole? Like, I feel like after everything they've been through, he wouldn't talk to Diana like that. He wouldn't cut her off so unceremoniously. So, like, a bit there, but maybe that's the point. Maybe we had to get to that that's why, because he was grumpy about having to make this decision, and he doesn't know what to do. And him consulting with these other two. I did like that. Then he has to go to because of the wisdom. So that's Batman going, I need to consult with things that are bigger than myself, right? It's not just can't be Batman's point of view. I got to take in, this other stuff. So that was cool. But yeah, I went into this being like, oh, I'm not getting pulled back into Justice League Unlimited. And then I was like, God damn it, Wade. You pulled me in for a little bit, just to see where this goes. And if it ends up being more of the same, I'll have no problem cutting ties again. But for what it is right now, I'm interested at least.
So you're thinking of reading the next
yeah, I'm thinking about it. We'll see how it lines up. I mean, because like
this week's relatively quiet, so I imagine next month it'll be similar, and we've dropped JSA, so you're probably going to feel more inclined, to do so. But I can see it. All right. Well, I guess we'll rate the book. I mean, they are, as solid. It's better. See, if you told me Clayton Henry, it's better than I thought it was going to be. If you told me Clayton Henry up front.
Yeah. Even Lex doesn't have a big, huge dome, so he's learned. I feel like we're going to take credit for that, Pete.
Oh, he's listening to us.
The massive foreheads. Yeah. He's like, these two guys on the internet, man, they're killing my art style. I got to rein this in. And he does. And it's very, like, sometimes house style gets thrown around as a derogatory term, but no, here, this is house style, and it looks very much what you would expect for DC.
And to be fair, there's a scale within that where there's good house style and like bad house style, and this is, I wouldn't say it's the great house style, but it's definitely on the positive side. I'm not displeased looking at anything here.
Like the look on Luthor's face when he's given this card, right? I feel like that is stereotypical Lex Luthor. I mean, and Henry got it down.
I mean, great house style at the top end is probably something like Ivan Reis or something like that. That's what, because it's house style. That's the kind of defined house style, but it is house style.
Yeah.
So
Fernando Passarin, another one.
Yeah.
In that. So
yeah. So no, not bad. All right, Matt, what are you giving Justice League Unlimited issue 17?
I am going to give this a 7.5.
Oh, how close? I'll say 6.5. I was going to go 6, but yeah, I do actually like the idea with the villains. I am concerned he's going to just flub it like he has everything else in this book from what we read before. But at least now, I'm 6.5. It's it was all right. It was not bad. All right, well there you go. That'll take us out to the last part of the show. Although before we do the picks of the week, I'll just say that one of the things we do for Patreon and YouTube members is we're doing the single issues of Batgirl Year 1. We're actually going to be doing the final issue of that this month. So there will be a vote aside from the usual monthly vote towards the end of the month. There'll also be a vote for the next Patreon like single issue series that we do from the past. So be paying attention to that if you're a patron, or if you're thinking of becoming a patron. That'll be coming up later this month. So wanted to mention that. All right. So yeah, picking our favorites of the week, panel/moment, cover our top 5 books. So Matt, what was your panel/moment of the week?
All right. So as far as moments go, I in splash pages, the one in Batman that has Poison Ivy and Vandal Savage and the different versions of themselves, I thought that was really, really good.
But Matt.
Yes.
The hierarchy of power and the absolute universe might have changed this week.
You're correct. And I was going to get there. Absolute Superman had so many, like, Batman, good across the board. There are a lot of good, fun moments there. But, like, for me, for, like, pure, like, in wrestling, like, good pops, I mean, we got Absolute Steel showing up like a boss. We got the moment with Lois and Talia.
And we never really said this when we were talking about the book, but, like, we don't know who Absolute Steel is. Technically, like,
no,
we assume it's Irons, but we don't actually know.
We don't actually know. And the only reason we're calling him Steel is because they said that the hammer's made of, and he just goes Steel.
Yeah.
Right.
I think this is This is definitely Absolute Steel. They just give us enough to say that, but beyond that, who knows?
So there's that. We had the moment that with Talia and Lois telling Roz to shut up, right? But yeah, and then we have the appearance of Absolute Black Adam at the end, and mine's probably gonna be. Oh, we also have Superman showing up there. I thought that was a good scene as well. But yeah, mine's gonna be Absolute Steel. I thought that was a real fun moment. That gave me a good like fist pump in a good way.
Sure. I think I mentioned it multiple times when we talked about the book. I think I have to go with the cop car coming out of the alley, and just the way that plays out with the tension and kind of it wasn't actually for us, but there's just that moment where you're never sure kind of thing with the headlights. The art's really nice and sequential. I got to go with that. Lots of good moments in Absolute Superman as well, though. All right, cover of the week. I'll give a shout out to the Lucio Perillo variant for Book of L. Which is just Superman holding up a rock. It's pretty simple, but nice looking.
It's got that painted quality to it, though. Like it looks really nice.
Shout out to the Christian Ward variant of Batgirl 18, which is Cass doing a sort of martial arts pose with the sort of spirit dragon behind her. Just kind of nice. My pick, though, for this week, easily, is the Jorge Molina variant for Batman, which is Batman with his hands up and the cop car lights are behind him, but it's just this gorgeous, moody painting quality to it. It's the sort of thing where I could hang that on a wall and be quite happy with myself. So that's my pick. Absolutely.
All right. There's another Adventure Superman variant that I liked that is by Stephanie Hans, and it's just Superman coming up with the blue sky behind in the flying pose, and it's a nice piece of art. I like that. Poison Ivy, which is always a glutton for great covers, has one by Takara, and it's The Things to Come, which gives a little bit of previews for where the book's gonna go, and it's just this really nice image of Ivy and Juhi and Janet all kind of standing almost like a trinity, kind of, with Undine and some type of. I'm looking from here. I don't know if it's Croc. Looks like Croc's hands come up through here. So it looks like maybe somebody from the Green there with a bunch of the Bat characters having coffins in front of them. So I thought that was real done. I'm always a fan of Takara. And then you mentioned the Batgirl one. But mine's also going to be a Batman variant. And it's not the David Aja, Poison Ivy, which I was tempted to do. But it's the Ryan Sook. And it's got the police standing behind Vandal Savage, and Savage smashing the bat signal, and then Batman kind of above all that in shadow with the green vines from Ivy. And I think it's like a perfect summation of that issue, and you don't get that too much in comics, right? You kind of just get the cool covers that look nice. So that's mine.
All right. And then what we got for artist of the week?
I mean, it comes down for me to Absolute Superman and Batman. And I think I'm going to give it to Sandoval just by a nose. Because I really thought Sook's art in Batman was good. Right? We've been spoiled with Jimenez, but it really showed up and handled those 3 stories. However, the stuff in Absolute Superman that Sandoval handles with stuff in the past, the way that he drew the Brainiacs, right? And the purple glow. I know that's the colorist, not so much just art, but, you know. And then the sequence that led with Steel, that was so good. Yeah, I'm giving it to Sandoval.
Yeah, I think it's very close for me as well between those two. I think I'm going to lean slightly towards Sook. I mean, part of the reason why my moment of the week was what it was is because of the art. So I think it inherently just sort of leans that way. It's very close though between them. All right, top 5 books, Matt.
All right, are we including Justice League Unlimited?
Sure, why not?
All right, so then number 1 is going to be Absolute Superman. Number 2 is Batman. Number 3 is Poison Ivy. Number 4 is Justice League Unlimited. And number 5 is Batgirl.
Yeah, my number 1 is Absolute Superman. My number 2 is Batman. After that,
yeah, this is why I asked.
Yeah,
just because it's.
And then after that, it's probably Justice League Unlimited, bizarrely, and then Batgirl 4, and then 5 is. Oh god, this is not a fun choice. I guess I'll say Book of L rather than JSA, but I mean, there's not much in it. I was pretty like meh on
but
both.
I feel like it annoyed you less than the events of Justice Society.
Yeah, that's probably true. I realize that's more of a building though, building over time than it is the specific issue, probably. But still, regardless, that's what I'll do. Anyway, I'll tell you what's coming next week from DC Comics. We have Absolute Green Lantern issue 13, Action Comics 1097, Bleeding Hearts issue 3, Supergirl issue 12, The Fury of Firestorm issue 1, Emperor Aquaman issue 16, Green Lantern Corps issue 15, Nice House by the Sea issue 9, Sirens Love Hurts issue 3, and then it's just a bunch of reprints and facsimiles and the usual stuff. So sticking out to me there just to mention is that we are going to read the next issue of Supergirl. We were both into that last issue enough that we're going to give it a go. And obviously we'll try Fury of Firestorm since it's an issue 1. Now, will I want to stay on a Firestorm book? I'll be amazed if I do, but I'll give it a shot. We'll see how it is. But that is next week. So look forward to that. But yeah, that is the show, everyone. That brings an end to the podcast. Of course, I mentioned Patreon before. You can support us over there and get some bonuses like those Batgirl Year 1 reviews we've been doing, like the monthly vote for the patrons pick, which is why we did Justice League Unlimited just there. There'll be another one of those votes towards the end of the month. Plus, you get the show a little bit earlier. But that is everything. Thank you very much for joining us. Thanks to everyone who already does support us. It really is greatly appreciated and helps keep everything coming. And of course, like, subscribe, ding the bell, all those YouTube things. Rate the podcast on your podcast app, 5 stars, all that usual stuff. But that is us. So thank you once again. We'll see you next time. Keep reading DC Comics, and remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.